What if I told you that scientists have already identified thousands of planets that could support life, and that number grows every single year? What if the question was never, is there life out there? But rather, how long have they already known? Buckle up, because today we're going into territory that scientists have debated for decades, and millions of people around the world have personally witnessed. These are alien facts so shocking, so well documented, and so deeply strange that by the end of this video, you will never look up at the night sky the same way again. Let's start with the numbers, because the math alone is staggering. The observable universe contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, contains somewhere between 200 and 400 billion stars. And scientists now believe that most of those stars have at least one planet orbiting them. Conservative estimates put the number of potentially habitable planets in our galaxy alone at over 40 billion. 40 billion planets, just in our galaxy. Now factor in the 2 trillion other galaxies. The number of potentially life-supporting worlds in the observable universe becomes so large, it effectively approaches infinity. To believe that out of all of those worlds, across all of that incomprehensible space, across billions of years of cosmic time, that Earth alone produced life is, statistically speaking, one of the most extraordinary claims a person could make. The famous astronomer Carl Sagan once said something that still echoes through science today. The universe is so vast that the absence of other life would be far stranger than its presence. And here's the thing, we've only been seriously searching for about 60 years. We've barely whispered into the dark. For decades, anyone who talked seriously about UFOs was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, a crackpot, or someone who'd watched too many movies. Then something extraordinary happened. In 2017, the New York Times broke a story that rocked the world. The United States Department of Defense had been running a secret program to investigate UFOs. Officially called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. The program had a budget of $22 million and operated for years in total secrecy. Then in 2020, the Pentagon did something it had never done before. It officially released 3 declassified videos taken by U.S. Navy pilots showing unidentified aerial objects performing maneuvers that are physically impossible by any known human technology. The objects moved at extraordinary speeds, made instantaneous direction changes, and operated with no visible propulsion system. Navy pilots, trained, experienced, credentialed military professionals, were on record saying they had no explanation for what they saw. Then in June 2021, the U.S. government released an official UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, report acknowledging 144 incidents that could not be explained. Of those 144 cases, they could only explain 1. And then, perhaps most shockingly, in 2023, a former U.S. intelligence official named David Grush testified under oath before the United States Congress, claiming that the U.S. government has been secretly retrieving and reverse engineering non-human spacecraft for decades. He stated that non-human biological material had been recovered from crash sites. This wasn't a man on a street corner with a tinfoil hat. This was a decorated veteran intelligence officer speaking under federal oath in front of Congress with whistleblower protections. The world barely flinched, but it should have. Throughout history, across every culture, on every continent, human beings have reported seeing things in the sky that don't fit any earthly explanation. But some cases stand so far apart from the rest that they demand serious attention. The Rendlesham Forest Incident, 1980. Often called Britain's Roswell, this event took place over several nights near a U.S. Air Force base in Suffolk, England. Multiple trained military personnel witnessed a triangular craft landing in the forest. One airman physically approached the object, touched it, and reported strange markings on its hull. The craft then silently disappeared. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt recorded his own observations on audio tape in real time, a recording that still exists. The British Ministry of Defense investigated. No explanation was ever given. The Phoenix Lights, 1997. On the night of March 13, 1997, thousands of Arizona residents, including the governor of Arizona, witnessed an enormous, silent V-shaped craft moving slowly over the city of Phoenix. The object was estimated to be over a mile wide. It was visible for more than 2 hours. It made no sound. Military aircraft were scrambled. No official explanation that has ever been given comes close to accounting for what thousands of credible witnesses saw that night. The Tic Tac incident, 2004. U.S. Navy pilot Commander David Fravor was on a routine training mission off the coast of California when radar operators directed him toward an unidentified object behaving erratically. What he found was a white, oblong, tic-tac-shaped object with no wings, no visible propulsion, and no exhaust. It was hovering above the water, then shot away at a speed his instruments couldn't even track. His account was later corroborated by thermal imaging video, one of the 3 videos officially released by the Pentagon. Fravor has since said, without hesitation, that what he saw was not from this Earth. It's not just what we've seen, it's what we've heard. In 1977, astronomer Jerry Ehman was reviewing radio telescope data from the Big Ear Observatory in Ohio when he came across a signal so extraordinary that he circled it in red ink and wrote one word in the margin: wow. The wow signal lasted 72 seconds, matched the exact profile scientists had theorized an alien transmission would look like, and has never been explained or detected again in the nearly 50 years since. No natural phenomenon has been found that could account for it. Then there's Tabby's star, officially known as KIC 8462852. This star, discovered in 2015, exhibits bizarre, irregular dimming patterns unlike anything science has seen. Unlike the predictable dimming caused by a planet passing in front of a star, Tabby's star dims in random, asymmetrical, wildly inconsistent ways. One of the hypotheses seriously considered by astronomers? A Dyson sphere, a megastructure built by an advanced civilization to harvest energy from the star. No definitive natural explanation has yet been accepted by the scientific community. And in 2020, astronomers detected phosphine gas in the atmosphere of Venus, a gas that, on Earth, is only produced by living organisms or in industrial laboratories. Venus, our nearest planetary neighbor. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community and has never been fully explained away. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Long before modern telescopes, long before governments and classified programs, human beings across ancient civilizations were drawing, carving, and describing things in the sky that sound unmistakably like what we today call UFOs. Ancient Sumerian texts, among the oldest written records on Earth, describe beings called the Anunnaki, powerful entities who descended from the heavens, possessed advanced knowledge, and interacted with early humans. Egyptian hieroglyphs discovered in the temple of Seti I at Abydos appear to depict objects that closely resemble helicopters, submarines, and aircraft, thousands of years before those technologies existed. Egyptologists have debated these images for decades. The Nazca lines of Peru, enormous geoglyphs carved into the desert floor, are only fully visible from the air. They were created by a civilization that, according to conventional history, had no flying technology. So who were they meant to be seen by? Ancient Indian texts, known as the Vedas, contain detailed descriptions of flying craft called vimanas, complete with flight instructions, battle capabilities, and technical specifications. The texts are thousands of years old. And perhaps most famously, the book of Ezekiel in the Bible describes what many scholars and engineers have analyzed as a remarkably accurate description of a mechanical spacecraft, complete with wheels, engines, and beings emerging from within. NASA engineer Joseph Blumrich was so intrigued that he reverse-engineered the description and filed a patent for the spacecraft design it implied. Were these primitive people describing gods and myths? Or were they describing something they actually saw and simply had no other language for? So if the universe is this vast, if the math screams that life should be everywhere, why haven't we made confirmed contact? This is called the Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who in 1950 asked the question that has haunted scientists ever since. Where is everybody? There are many proposed answers. Maybe intelligent civilizations destroy themselves before they can reach us, through war, climate collapse, or technological catastrophe. Maybe the distances are simply too great for any signal or craft to bridge. Maybe we're the first. Maybe we're already being observed and haven't been deemed worthy of contact. But one of the most chilling theories is called the dark forest hypothesis, proposed by Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin and taken increasingly seriously by physicists. The idea is this: the universe is like a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter, moving silently through the trees. Because resources are finite and intentions are unknown, the rational strategy for any advanced civilization is silence and concealment. If you reveal your location, you risk annihilation. So every civilization hides, and any civilization that reveals itself becomes a target. Under this theory, broadcasting our existence the way we have, with radio signals, television transmissions, and deliberate messages like the Voyager Golden Record, might be one of the most dangerous things humanity has ever done. Perhaps the silence isn't absence. Perhaps the silence is strategy. The conversation around extraterrestrial life has shifted dramatically in recent years, and not just in fringe circles. In 2021, Harvard professor and former chair of the astronomy department, Avi Loeb, published a book arguing that the interstellar object known as Oumuamua, which passed through our solar system in 2017, was almost certainly of artificial, non-human origin. Its shape, its acceleration, and its behavior were unlike any comet or asteroid ever observed. Loeb was not laughed out of academia. He became one of the most talked about scientists on the planet. NASA now has an active astrobiology program dedicated specifically to the search for extraterrestrial life. The James Webb Space Telescope, launched in 2021, is specifically capable of analyzing the atmospheric chemistry of distant planets, looking for what scientists call biosignatures, chemical markers of life. In 2023, scientists using Webb data identified potential signs of a biological molecule in the atmosphere of the exoplanet K2-18b, a planet 120 light-years away. While not confirmed, researchers described it as the most promising hint of potential extraterrestrial life ever detected. The scientific establishment is no longer asking if life exists elsewhere. It is now asking when we will find it and what form it will take. Here's what we know. The universe is ancient, vast beyond comprehension, and filled with billions of worlds that could support life. Governments have officially confirmed the existence of unidentified aerial objects performing impossible maneuvers. Credible military witnesses have reported encounters they cannot explain. Scientists have detected signals, atmospheric chemicals, and interstellar objects that don't fit any natural model. And ancient civilizations across the entire globe, with no contact with each other, all describe the same thing: beings and craft descending from the sky. Maybe they're already here, watching, waiting. Maybe they visited long ago and left us wondering. Maybe first contact is closer than any government is willing to admit. One thing is certain: the universe is not empty. And the truth, whatever it turns out to be, is going to be far stranger and far more extraordinary than anything we've been told. If this video made you think, drop a comment below. Tell me, do you believe? And if you want more deep dives into the mysteries of this universe, subscribe, because we're just getting started. The stars are watching.